What if the most important decision of your life was forced on you by a signature written decades ago? And what if the only way to save everything you loved meant marrying a complete stranger with your heart locked away behind a contract? Nathan Carter was the man who had everything: wealth, power, a future mapped out to the last detail, until one forgotten clause in his grandfather's will shattered it all. He needed a wife. Fast, not for love, not for dreams, but for survival. Emma Brooks was the woman who had fought for every inch of her life, who carried the crushing weight of a secret she couldn't outrun: her mother's fading health. When Nathan offered her a marriage built on cold agreements and silent sacrifices, she knew the price. But could she survive what came after? A contract meant to protect them both would soon unleash secrets, betrayals, and feelings far beyond anything either of them bargained for. Because some deals change your future, but others change your soul. Are you ready to find out what happens when two strangers dare to turn a lie into something real? Stay with us. This story will touch your heart in ways you never expected. Nathan Carter stood at the towering window of Carter Tech's 33rd floor headquarters, watching the gray clouds strangle the Boston skyline. His jaw clenched tightly, the morning's financial reports forgotten in his hand. Today wasn't supposed to be extraordinary, yet the sharp knock at the door told him otherwise. Inside stepped David Collins, the family's longtime attorney, carrying a thick leather briefcase. He looked like a man about to deliver a death sentence. "What is it?" Nathan asked, already dreading the answer. David opened the briefcase, took out a weathered document, and laid it on the sleek mahogany desk. "Your grandfather's final amendment." Somehow overlooked. Nathan's stomach twisted. Overlooked in his world, overlooked meant catastrophe. "You must be legally married before your 36th birthday," David said, voice low. "Not just a paper marriage, a real one. Otherwise, control of Carter Tech transfers to the minority shareholders." For a second, Nathan thought he misheard marriage. Real marriage with 90 days left on the clock. A bitter laugh escaped him, sharp and humorless. "You're joking." David shook his head. Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. Nathan turned away, hands stuffed into his pockets. How had his life, so carefully orchestrated, so meticulously controlled, spiraled into this chaos in the blink of an eye? He could fight it, sure, take it to court. But by then, Carter Tech would be torn apart by bloodthirsty competitors. His grandfather's legacy would be auctioned to the highest bidder. He had only one choice: find a wife. Fast. But who? The names of socialites, heiresses, and even actresses flickered through his mind like unwanted advertisements. But he rejected them all. Too loud, too complicated, too dangerous. And then he remembered her: Emma Brooks, a young architect who had quietly impressed the Carter Foundation board just weeks earlier. Practical, grounded, fiercely private. Exactly the type of woman who wouldn't want a messy emotional entanglement. Exactly what he needed. But would she say yes? And if she did, what price would he truly pay? Without wasting another minute, Nathan ordered his assistant to set up a business meeting with Emma. Time wasn't just money, now it was survival. Meanwhile, across town at the Carter Foundation's offices, Emma Brooks sorted through a pile of community project proposals. When her phone buzzed, Nathan Carter wanted to see her. Today in person, a knot formed in her stomach. She had never dealt with the CEO himself before. Was something wrong with her latest designs? Was she being let go? Or was it something much worse? An hour later, she found herself stepping into a private conference room lined with glass and steel. The view of Boston sprawled out behind Nathan Carter as he stood, hands casually tucked into the pockets of his sharply tailored suit, staring into the clouds. He turned when she entered, his expression unreadable. "Thank you for coming, Emma," he said, his voice calm, almost too calm. "Of course, Mr. Carter. What's this about?" she asked cautiously. Polite Nathan took a slow breath, then placed a folder on the table between them. "I'm about to ask you something unconventional." Her brow furrowed. Alarm bells blared in her mind. "I need a wife," he said simply. Emma blinked, sure she had misheard. "I'm sorry. I need to be married quickly. It would be a legal arrangement, 1 year only. You would maintain your career, financial security guaranteed, and full funding for your mother's treatment at Boston Medical Center." It felt like the floor disappeared beneath her. How did he know about her mother, Grace? How had he found out about the hospital bills suffocating her? Emma's fist clenched. Who gave you the right to pry into my life? Nathan met her gaze without flinching. I needed to know what mattered to you so I could offer you something real in return. The coldness, the calculation it should have, disgusted her. And yet, the image of her mother's tired, fragile face flashed through her mind. Would you agree to sell a piece of your soul if it meant saving the only person you loved? Emma didn't respond. She grabbed the folder and stormed out her heels, clicking furiously against the polished floor. In the elevator, she leaned against the wall chest, heaving, mind racing. Who did Nathan Carter think he was? And yet, could she afford to walk away? At the hospital later that night, Emma sat alone outside her mother's room, watching the machines beeping steadily beside Grace's frail body. The doctor's words replayed in her mind. We need to start aggressive treatment immediately. But how her insurance was worthless? Loans were maxed out. Time was running out, and that damn folder was burning a hole in her bag. By dawn, after a sleepless night staring at the Boston skyline, Emma made her decision. She would call Nathan Carter back, but the terms, they would be hers. What kind of conditions would a woman like Emma dare to place on a man who thought he could buy everything, including trust? And more terrifyingly, would Nathan accept them? We're truly sorry for the interruption and appreciate your patience. If you were in Emma's place, would you have agreed to Nathan's deal or walked away forever? What conditions do you think Emma will demand in return for marrying him? Tell us in the comments. Also, which country are you watching from? We'd love to know, and if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and heart this video to support us. The night air was heavy as Emma Brooks stepped into Magnolia Bistro, Boston's most discreet upscale restaurant. She clutched a folded paper in her trembling hand, her own set of terms. Tonight wasn't about love or fairy tales, it was about survival. Nathan Carter was already seated, a glass of whiskey untouched before him. His suit was impeccable, his posture sharp, but his eyes, when they lifted to meet hers, held something unexpected weariness. Or was it regret? As Emma slid into the seat across from him, she couldn't help but wonder. Was he as trapped by this arrangement as she was? Without small talk, she placed her paper on the table. If you want my agreement, she said evenly, you'll need to meet my conditions. Nathan raised a brow but didn't hesitate. He unfolded the page and began to read. Emma watched his face closely. Would he laugh, argue, walk away? But Nathan merely nodded, a slow, deliberate motion. Deal, he said. Was it truly that simple? Or was she stepping into something far more dangerous than she realized? The days that followed felt surreal. Nathan's team moved with ruthless efficiency, designers for the wedding dress, pressed teams to craft the perfect love story, contractors to renovate the penthouse Emma would soon call home. Yet despite the flurry of activity, an eerie silence stretched between Nathan and Emma whenever they were alone. Strangers preparing to swear eternal love under vaulted ceilings. When the wedding day arrived, Trinity Church glowed under golden chandeliers filled with politicians, billionaires, and reporters. Emma stood at the entrance, gripping her bouquet so tightly her knuckles turned white. Could she really go through with this? Was she still making this choice, or had she already lost control? The music swelled. The doors opened. Emma took a breath that didn't quite reach her lungs and walked forward. Nathan waited at the altar, as stoic and polished as ever. Yet when their eyes met, she caught at a flicker of something fragile behind his facade. Fear, hope. The ceremony moved swiftly. Vows exchanged, rings slid onto fingers. A kiss captured in 1,000 blinding flashes. From the outside, they were perfection. But what did perfection hide beneath its shining surface? At the reception, Nathan leaned in as they posed for photos, his whisper a low rumble in her ear. You did good, Emma forced a smile. I always keep my end of a bargain. Their dance was mechanical, their smiles rehearsed, yet somehow in the soft brush of Nathan's hand against her back, in the brief tightening of his fingers around hers, something unspoken simmered just below the surface. Could it be real, or just another illusion carefully manufactured for the cameras? Late that night, they returned to Nathan's sprawling penthouse, a place so vast and cold it echoed with their footsteps. Nathan showed her to a private suite, her new home complete with luxury furnishings she hadn't chosen. "I want you to be comfortable," he said stiffly. "Comfortable." In a cage of glass and gold, Emma gave a curt nod, too exhausted to argue. Alone in her room, she sank onto the edge of the king-size bed, the weight of everything crashing down on her. The next few weeks passed in a blur. Public appearances, charity galas, high society dinners, each one a performance more grueling than the last. "Smile wider," Nathan would murmur under his breath. "Hold my hand longer when we exit," he'd remind her. And Emma, ever the dutiful actress, played her part flawlessly. But inside, a storm was brewing. How long could two strangers pretend before the mask cracked? And what would spill out when it did? Resentment, or something far more dangerous? One night, fate intervened. Boston suffered a sudden blackout, plunging the city into darkness. Emergency lights flickered feebly inside the penthouse. Emma, fumbling through the kitchen for a flashlight, bumped into a table, sending a crystal vase shattering to the floor. Within seconds, Nathan appeared holding a candle, his face illuminated by its trembling flame. "Are you all right?" he asked, genuine concern threading through his voice for the first time. For a moment, Emma forgot their contract, their lies, their careful performances. In that fragile half-light, she saw not the tycoon, not the strategist, but the man, and it terrified her. They sat together on the floor, backs against the cold marble wall, the candle between them. Nathan spoke first, voice raw. "When I was a kid, I wanted to race cars. I never wanted any of this." Emma blinked. Was this the same man who offered her a marriage like a business transaction? "I dreamed of being an architect," she confessed quietly. "Building schools in poor neighborhoods, making something that mattered." Nathan's lips twitched in a shadow of a smile. "Guess life had other plans for both of us." Was it possible even for a second that beneath the contracts and expectations, two broken dreams could find each other? We're truly sorry for the interruption and appreciate your patience as we bring you the next part of this emotional journey. If you were Emma, would you start trusting Nathan after that night, or keep your guard up? Do you think a marriage built on a contract can ever turn into real love? Tell us what you think in the comments. And please let us know which country you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and heart the video to support us. In the weeks after that unexpected night during the blackout, something began to shift between Nathan and Emma, something neither of them could quite name. The formal smiles at public events lingered a little longer. The scripted hand-holding turned into fingers, naturally intertwined. The silent car rides became filled with stolen glances and quiet laughter, yet neither dared speak it aloud. Were they just getting better at pretending? Or was something real finally growing between two people who had once been complete strangers? But just when hope flickered its first fragile light, the storm hit. One morning, as Nathan reviewed contracts in his office, his phone exploded with calls. Within minutes, the headlines were everywhere. Marriage for hire, Nathan Carter's secret deal exposed. Leaked documents, photos, whispers of betrayal. Emma found out the same way through a brutal tabloid cover that hit her desk like a slap. Panic gripped her chest. Shame burned her cheeks. In one ruthless swipe, everything they had carefully built, real or fake, was reduced to scandal. Nathan rushed home, finding Emma standing stiffly by the window, clutching the newspaper so tightly her knuckles were white. "How did this happen?" she demanded, her voice a trembling blade. Nathan's face was grim. "I don't know, but I swear it wasn't me." And Emma searched his eyes, wanting to believe him, needing to. But the walls she'd spent years building were rising again. Fast, could she afford to trust him? Or was she just another pawn in a game she never asked to play? Days blurred into each other after the news broke. Paparazzi camped outside their building. Business deals teetered. Emma couldn't go to the grocery store without people whispering behind her back. She considered walking away many times, and Nathan, he changed. He stopped giving orders. He stopped pretending he wasn't hurting too. He simply showed up quiet, steady, unshakable. One evening, as they sat apart on the massive penthouse balcony, Emma staring at the lights of Boston and Nathan nursing a cold coffee. He spoke. "You don't have to stay," he said, voice hoarse. "If you leave now, I'll make sure you're protected. No scandals, no debts, no guilt." Emma's throat tightened painfully. Was he setting her free because he wanted to save her, or because he couldn't bear to face her anymore? She turned slowly toward him. And if I want to stay, Nathan's smile was sad, almost broken. Then stay. Not because you have to, but because you want to. It was in that naked vulnerability that Emma finally saw the truth. Nathan Carter, the powerful, unreachable titan, was offering her something no contract could ever guarantee: choice, respect, love. But was her heart ready to believe it? A few nights later, while organizing a charity event at the Carter Foundation, Emma received the call she'd been dreading for months. Her mother, Grace Brooks, had taken a bad turn. She raced to Boston Medical Center, Nathan following without a word. They sat side by side in the stark waiting room as doctors worked to stabilize Grace. Hours passed in a haze of fear. Finally, a young doctor approached. "She's stable now," he said with a tired smile, "and she's responding better than we hoped. There's still a long road ahead, but it's a good road." Relief crashed over Emma like a wave. Tears blurred her vision. She turned and without hesitation threw herself into Nathan's arms. For once, there was no pretending, no contracts, no negotiations. Just two people clinging to each other in the middle of a hard-fought battle they somehow won together. In that moment, Emma knew home wasn't a penthouse. Love wasn't a headline. And happiness wasn't something you could sign into existence. It was built piece by fragile piece through trust. That weekend under a quiet oak tree in Boston Common, Nathan pulled out a small, simple ring. No crowds, no photographers, just them. "I don't have a contract this time," he said, voice trembling slightly. "Only a question." He knelt before her, heart bare. "Emma Brooks, will you marry me? Not for duty, not for the world, just for us." Tears spilled freely down her cheeks. She laughed through them, a raw, beautiful sound. "I thought you'd never ask," she whispered. And in front of the whole chaotic, beautiful, messy world they lived in, Emma said yes, not to the life she had planned, but to the one her heart had found. We're truly sorry for the interruption, and we deeply appreciate your patience as we bring this story to life. Now let's hear your thoughts. If you were Emma, would you have risked your heart again after everything she went through? Do you believe real love can truly be born from the most unlikely beginnings? Please share your answer in the comments. Also, which country are you watching from? We'd love to hear your story too. If you enjoyed this journey, please don't forget to like, heart, and share the video. Your support helps us continue bringing more beautiful stories to life. And don't forget, comment no 3 if you love the story, no 2 if it was okay, and no 1 if you think it could be better. We can't wait to hear from you.